Welcome to the Open Bedroom Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Kalo. Welcome to conversations about open relationships, online dating, conscious uncoupling, and creating the relationship that truly aligns for you. If you enjoy this podcast, I hope that you do a couple things for us. Would you subscribe? Would you write a review? Maybe share us with your friends. And if you extra like us, there's a link in the show notes here for my Patreon that does help pay for the creation of this podcast. And lastly, follow us on the Open Bedroom. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I hope you enjoy the show. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I have one of our favorite guests, Cashelle. This is her third podcast with us. You might remember her from BDSM 101 from a Submissive. We also did a second podcast where it was something around healing trauma through kink, and that was an excellent episode as well. Today, we are not talking about BDSM or kink or anything in the sexual realm, although dating kind of is. Today's topic is all around dating and breaking the fucking rules. So if you remember growing up when your mama was like, don't date more than one boy because you're going to be a slut. You'll be deemed as a hussy for like all your friends in the whole school. That is like ridiculous old school thinking. And so I've got Cashelle on today to talk about relationship dynamics and dating dynamics and how they get to change and evolve as we change and evolve. Cashelle, welcome back to the podcast for a third time.
Thank you.
My listeners love you. And those that have never met you, maybe you're brand new to them. Would you do a quick intro and maybe through the lens of dating versus the BDSM, what brings you here? Who are you?
Oh gosh. Okay. I'm Cashelle. I don't know how to say who I am. I always get thrown off with this question.
Sorry. Tell us about yourself.
I'm a
That's
business
easier,
owner.
right?
I am in an open relationship. I am kind of an off-grid bus life homesteader. And I'm definitely a rule breaker in like all the ways. I actually find it very hard to abide by most rules. Hence the living in a bus in the woods. Yeah.
Okay. I always like to normalize our guests. Cashelle is a mother. She is a partner. She owns an apothecary that's fucking amazing. I got a facial today, Cashelle, with your products. I wish everybody could just smell me. I smell so good. And lately I've been looking in the mirror and I'm like, I am almost 40 and I look freaking awesome. Like, there's no makeup. I just put a little lip gloss on and I have lash extensions. And that
is some witchy ass skincare with Taylor.
It really is. So we'll make sure and put a link in the notes below if you are interested in checking out Cashelle's stuff. But for now, we're just going to move into the dating conversation. So Cashelle is a normal human. She's a business owner. She's a mother and she is in an open relationship. And so today we're going to talk about dating and breaking the rules. So talk to us a little bit about this energy of breaking the rules. And number one, the first thing I think of is like, what makes you think that you get to break the rules? Because I think for a lot of us, that permission to be something even a little different is fucking scary.
Yeah. I think of it like, what makes you think that you can impose rules on my sovereignty? That's how I feel. That like I'm just a sovereign ass being and I make the rules. Like I'm a god, I'm a creator, and so is everyone else. And so if we create our own life, we're making our own rules, and dating is not the exception to that. So when I first started dating a lot of people, I was like celibate for a while and did some shadow work stuff, and then I started dating in all these different ways and connections. And I found myself trying and needing to categorize label. I was needing to label what each one was. And I couldn't do it because they didn't fit the model. I had actually never been non-monogamous before. I had never dated before. I got into the relationship and like made that shit work. That conditioning, and it's a failure if it doesn't, and that conditioning. And so I first let all that go. And I go, I finally realized at like 30 something that they're not failures. They're growth and learning, they're mirrors. And that's really the ultimate goal for me is growth. And so no end of relationship was a failure, although I spent most of my life thinking that, being of that conditioning. So I first had to let go of needing and expecting labels, and that took like probably a lot of trust in the just trusting the process, surrendering and go with the flow. This relationship may be a week or a day or a month, and that's okay. I trust that we're going to get what we need out of it, and we're going to know when to move on instead of like hang on until our hands are bloody.
I just recorded a podcast yesterday or the day before, and I swear to God, we said the exact same thing that you just said. And her story is similar to yours. And I'm talking about Jojo, who I'm not sure if we'll have her podcast before or after you, but she was married to a man, spent a decade with him, about a decade. They didn't end up having kids. Your story was fell in love with a man or married a man, had a bunch of kids, and then decided that you also like women. So would you talk to us a little bit about your story so that we can, again, kind of feel its relevancy in our own life, especially that kind of questioning bisexuality and allowance of even that, the fluidity of allowing an open relationship that is breaking those dating rules as well as those sexual rules?
Yeah. I think before I met my current friend partner, we're somewhere in the middle, who I live with, my male friend partner. I think before I met him, I actually thought my next relationship would be with a female, even if it weren't sexual, that we would both be allowed to have sexual relationships with men outside of that if we wanted, but that I needed the intimacy of a female and I craved it. And then I met my male partner, and then about cut to now, like about 3 years later, I have a female partner, who I'm actually not sexual with. And I receive that intimacy and that processing, and that I really feel so seen and understood and loved by her. And I enjoy cuddling and all the quality time with her. And then I have a friend who I live with and also am sexual with, who may or may not be my partner right now. So that's pretty rule breaking. Letting go of all the labels, right? And this happens every time. I had a point to touch on, and it's like gone.
No, I think that's helpful. And I don't know if our listeners have ever heard the terminology, like something like a polycule, where your people that you're dating also have people that they're dating that also have people that they're dating. And somehow you're all interrelated. And it's kind of like kitchen table polyamory, and everybody kind of knows who they are. And sometimes they share each other and sometimes they don't. I think this speaks again to like everything is so fluid, from the gender that we're attracted to how we date and what that looks like. And there's this overlaying layer of permission for all of it.
You helped me remember, last summer I studied satya, truthfulness, in my yoga practice. And I was in an open relationship with my male partner, like I said, for like 3 years before, and I basically fucked other people every now and then, but never relationship with them. And I came to realize in my truthfulness practice last summer that I don't even want to have more than one male partner. Maybe I'm polyamorous, but not for mostly I'm monogamous, especially when it comes to males. And I was just playing the game so that I would be really triggered when he would have another connection. And so I thought that it was helping me to go have another connection. And really, I was actually triggering the fuck out of myself. And I wasn't taking care of myself. And when I go, oh, I actually don't even really want relationships with other men, I didn't feel as triggered by him having relationships with other women. Like I wasn't honoring my truth. And that's actually what was triggering to me, more so than him having connections. But I was playing along, thinking I was doing what would keep me in the game or whatever. So I gave up, I broke all the rules, and then subconsciously created another set that actually weren't helpful.
Hey there. Did you know that I do online coaching? Yes, I do online coaching in the sex and relationship space. Some of the topics that are near and dear to my heart are open relationships. So that includes polyamory, swinging, or what we call the lifestyle. I also love conversations around online dating. We're talking Bumble, Tinder, Field, and more. And then the last thing that is really passionate and close to my heart is conscious uncoupling. That means we get to break up with people with love and respect, with dignity and hope. We get to create a life for our children that gets to be a little bit different. We can do things better than we have in the past. So if any of these topics sound interesting to you and you'd love to get some coaching from me, check out the link in the show notes or the link in my bio for more information on coaching with Jen.
Yeah. And then maybe some months later, I actually came into a relationship with my female partner and I was like, oh, this feels good. Feels very intimate and seen and understood. And I don't necessarily need the sex part.
Can you
I went from very hypersexual to like, I actually don't need a lot of sex.
I know.
Outside of my partner.
Can you talk more about the relationship with the female and that it's not sexual and you call her your partner? Because I think some listeners might be like, this is very confusing. She's just a best friend. So what's the difference between like a best girlfriend, a girlfriend, and a girlfriend that is like an intimate partner, but there is no sex? I can imagine that those buckets for people are like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, I think they can be different because sometimes I think she and I wonder what makes this not just a best friend. I think it's the inclusivity when we talk about living spaces, when we make decisions. I think it's the inclusivity of everyone's input, actually. I'm actually just realizing this when you asked this question. If we were best friends, she would make decisions with her partner and not inform me, right? Or even care for my input, maybe necessarily. If I'm moving, I'm concerned about where she fits into that still. And I am. And we're all her. She has a husband and maybe a boyfriend or ex-boyfriend. And we are all moving and we are all coordinating what's best for the whole, not just the individual one or two people. I actually think that's the biggest difference.
Amazing. And I don't even think that there's a terminology for that yet. Like you read Polysecure with Jessica Fern, and she does a great job of bringing like new terminology in for us of what is being open in all the various ways. Feels new to me. I don't know. But it feels good, right? And just because you want to be something and there's not a term for it yet, doesn't mean that it's wrong or that it's bad.
How many heterosexual marriages are sexless?
Most.
And we still see those as very much relationships or marriages. I mean, I married people who don't even sleep in the same bedroom, and that's okay. And we don't question whether that's a relationship or not, right?
I agree.
And how many people have I or you or we had sex with that were absolutely not relationship material? Like they're just so not exclusive of each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's shoving yourself into a traditional box because that's what society's told you that you have to do, or your mama or whoever.
Yeah.
And then living a mostly sexless, really unhappy life. This sleeping in two bedrooms thing, I was aware of it because I've known older people that have done it, right?
Yeah.
And usually it's something like someone snores or someone doesn't snore, or they sleep better alone, or like. And then as I ask more questions, usually it's like, I don't want them to touch me. Like I don't, or they're a bit rapey, or like, and I'm like, interesting. So why are you staying with this person? I don't quite understand. But I'm watching this trend and maybe this isn't bad. In my mind, it still is classified as like, don't get that, but that's okay. That's just me. And I'm noticing the trend younger and younger and younger, like in their 30s. They've only been married 5 years or to a decade. And they're already like, yeah, we sleep in different rooms. And again, maybe if that serves you, it's fine. But I think it's also something to question, like, am I really happy? Do I want to be with my person? Do I actually want to be with them?
My touch needs would be so unmet.
Me
And
too.
so around this period of time at the beginning of this story, when I said I was dating around, I got invited to Cuddle Tribe. So enter a new type of relationship
What
that I
is
had
this?
no idea
I
that
need
I
this in
could
my
have
life.
my touch needs met without the expectation of sex.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not willing, and my creativity opened up. I started making $3,000 a month working 2 days a week because my
Amazing.
touch needs were met.
You're like, just cuddle me and I'll be like freaking superstar.
I went to the first one and we touched feet. I also learned about consent at Cuddle Tribe. Very consensual. Yeah. And purposely non-sexual. And that was the first time as a female I had ever experienced that
oh my gosh.
that I could have my touch needs met without the expectation of sexuality.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to start a Cuddle Tribe. This sounds great. I could host it in my living room. Come over, like bring your sleeping bag that you could lay on top of. It was
incredibly healing. It was a monumental, like, healing phase of my life, Cuddle Tribe. 100%.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So let's tap in. What else is coming up for you? Because what I didn't tell everybody is this message is channeled. Cashelle reached out to me a week or two ago and she was like, there's a message that's coming through. It needs to be on the podcast. So here we are. So anything
I would like
that
to
we're
say
yes,
that you opened this up with something about being a mother. And I am a mother, and my oldest daughter is about to be 13, and she's very much with the boyfriends. She has the boyfriends. She's also living with her dad right now and really getting a lot of healing in that realm. So I'm like, have the boyfriends. He's setting the bar high, right? I talked to her about this when she says, like, so-and-so dated so-and-so and they're in the grade and they've all dated each other, but cheated on, whatnot. And I just asked the questions like, do you guys date other people? Is that allowed? Is it cheating? Or I'm trying to think of actual specific questions because I obviously framed them age appropriately.
Right.
And I try to be very open with her about, there are no rules until you make the rules. And honesty for me is the only rule. So I say there are no rules. Honesty and trust are two rules that I won't bypass. And if those are established, then we can start making the agreements or the rules. And those can be renegotiated anytime someone needs. You just come and you say, I have a different need. I met a person, whatever. And so I try to be very open with her in discussions about it's okay to date multiple people, actually, as long as you're being honest. It's okay if he does, if you're okay with it, as long as everyone's being honest. So yeah, I enjoy unconditioning her to make their own rules.
So interesting that how old did you say she is? 13?
She's going to be 13. She's very social. She was homeschooled until 11, and she very much enjoys public school in her social life.
It's amazing that even at 13, she's already conditioned.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I'm assuming then that her friends aren't as fluid as I would assume teenagers are these days.
I don't know. When you said seeing things younger and younger, I'm actually seeing kind of the awakening younger and younger, where like 20-year-olds are making their own rules and relationshiping how they want. And I'm like, yes. So I don't know if she's just caught somewhere in the middle or if she's just young and experimenting and using the language. Everyone's using the language. So-and-so cheated on me. So-and-so, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's very teenage cliquey public school.
And can you imagine
actually, that's why I really take a lot of efforts in having these conversations with her, because now she's in the lion's den, in my opinion. And then I have another daughter who's like 11, and she's had the same boyfriend since she started public school like 2 years ago. And she's like, oh yeah, he likes me. Yeah, we're good. Like she doesn't talk about it or care much, and she's just solid, and it is what it is. And they like talk at school, and that's good. So I don't know.
And like none of this is new because the hippies were doing this. Like our hippie parents were dating around, sleeping around. They're like, love is love and
The
let's be
commune.
free. Yeah, exactly. And it's coming back around, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. I
That's
took
awesome.
pride in demonstrating to them when I was in Cuddle Tribe, the guy who started that, I would have over for platonic touch. So we might sit on the couch and hold hands, or I doubt we got too horizontally cuddly in front of them. And one of my kids' dad did not like that. He thought that was pretty slutty and like confusing and revolving door type of behavior.
Oh,
And I really thought it was so loving. I thought it
yeah,
was such a loving way to show them a non-sexual love, platonic
absolutely.
love, touch needs without sex. I actually thought that was really important to show them something on the other end of the spectrum. So I don't know.
I think that's beautiful. It's funny because lately I feel like our friendship game is definitely leveled up since we've stepped into the swinger world, and we have all these friends now, and Scott especially, and it's really cute because he'll kind of like lure them over with soup and grilled cheese, like that's his thing, and he'll be like, oh my gosh, I just made chicken stock and I'm making homemade chicken noodle soup on Thursday. Like, would you like to come? I'll make you like a fancy grilled cheese and we can cuddle on the couch and watch a show. So he's got all these people watching all these different shows that he's picked out. It's really cute. And then they get hooked in it and then they come back for more grilled cheese in the next episode of the show. But he's figured it out. Like that's his cuddle time, cuddle tribe, right? He's like, come and let's. So it's really cute. The way I was trying to circle back to the kid thing is the kids lately have been like, who are all these people? Like you have a social life now? And we're like, yeah, we have all these friends. And so they see them come in and they see us sit in the kitchen and talk to them and feed them grilled cheese and they might get a back rub and like, then they leave.
I find
And
it very endearing.
it's super healthy. But
Mm-hmm.
I think, again, when you think about societal norms, we've told everyone, like, if you're in partnership, don't you dare touch another person
Or
of the
even
opposite
talk to
sex.
other people.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The purpose of like connections with other people, besides just getting our connection needs met, right, is to stimulate growth.
Yeah.
And when I limit myself to one person for 50 years, I feel like I'm stunting my potential.
Seriously. Out of all the humans in the entire world, and you
Yeah.
are only allowed to talk to one.
Yeah. When one of the kids' dad found out about my relationship with the female, he called. She asked if she could put it on her Facebook. And I was like, yeah. And he called the next day, like, is there something you need to tell me?
No.
And I was like, no, is there something you need to ask? And well, are you still with so-and-so male partner? Yeah. Well, then like, what is this? And I'm like, I would very much consider her a partner. I think his line is, are you going to be in touch with this person, in touch connection with this person in front of the kids? And does that require some sort of different explanation?
Okay.
I think that's
I
where
guess
he's
that
at.
feels logical.
Yeah. And I was like, I'll keep you up to date.
Like, mom just kisses all her friends.
Yeah.
It's just a part of it.
It's French.
I just pretend to be French. That's so cute. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'd love to wrap this podcast up with a question for you, because I'm sure if people are listening and they're like, yeah, I've been way too like strict and constricting in the way I've been relationshiping, or the way I've been looking at my connections, or the way I've even been friendshipping. What are some ways that you can suggest that people start to break the rules?
I think this is going to be the same answer every time, no matter what podcast I'm on. And it's communication. You have to ask the questions of yourself. What is it that I even want? What needs are not being met of mine? And how could I get those met? And then being really honest with whoever you're in relationship with about those needs and your desire to have those met with other people, even if it's just friendship. Because like friendship isn't even allowed, I think, in monogamy. like is kind of frowned upon, right?
I was going to say in the Baptist church, like you're like, no, monogamy, all of it.
I love the option of talking to people. I do not really prefer a lot of dicks at one time and penises. I don't know. What kind of podcast is this?
It can be whatever you want.
And I like the option. And
Yeah.
I'm probably never really that interested in acting on it. But yeah, communication, sovereign communication. Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Lots of I statements.
Yeah.
Yeah, keeping the blame and the shame out of it. There's no fault and there's no blame. It just you know.
I'm thinking like, how do we role play this? So there's a bit of a script. So you're talking to your partner and you're like, hey, babe, I have noticed lately that I am really craving deep communication. And I've asked you, this is probably getting a little accusatory. You can help me reframe it. I've asked you for years to just sit and talk with me. And you've said, that's really not my thing. I'd much rather watch ESPN, or like, can't you call a girlfriend? And I have realized how important deep connective communication is for me, and that I'm going to need to find friends that can be that with me. So I've joined a club. I've joined a cuddle puddle club, and it's everyone wears their clothes and we just snuggle up with each other. And sometimes there's a movie. And afterwards, we have really, really deep communication, and we can kind of pair off, and I can make a best friend. And I just want to let you know that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
How'd I do?
That's not bad. And I'm not even in this relationship, and I'm shocked that you've already joined the club.
Oh, okay.
Could you come
Maybe
to
we
me
should back
before
up.
you join the club? Also, I think going into like what you picked up on it, I've asked for this for years and you can't give it to me. We could probably just remove that whole part. Okay. Because then they're going to be like, you know, maybe. I
listen to you
really
bitches me all day.
I have really deep communication needs. Okay. I would like to ask other people to help me meet those needs. Mm-hmm. How does this feel?
Oh, that was easy.
Yeah, please talk to the partners before you actually join the Cuddle Puddle Club. Okay. You've already. I
was like, gone. Don't ask, don't tell. Just tell them you're going to do
it. Yeah, you've already, because at that point, you've actually already probably broken agreements, right? Mm. And that's okay. If they say, I don't like it, and you say, I'm going to do it, then proceed to take care of yourself. But doing it before even the integrity of conversation, that's going to be a little stickier. I'm going to assume that that's going to be broken agreements right off the bat.
Okay. I don't want to break an agreement. Will you please one more time say the really easy statement that you just created?
Oh, yeah. I have communication needs that are not met. I would like to ask other people to help me meet those needs. How do you feel about that? What does that look like? How can that be safe for both of us?
And when you say it in that way, I feel so grounded. Like as your receiving partner, I'm like, of course, yes. I want your needs to be met, Cashelle.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel great about that. Go get your needs met.
And maybe they'll be like, thank God you don't want it from me. Like, I've been trying to tell you for years, I do not want to communicate deeply with you.
This makes me so sad. So I love your coaching style, and I love how easy you make things, considering I made that way too complicated, and you're like, oh no, it's just 3 points. For people that are listening and they're like, I love Cashelle's communication style. How can I get more coaching on this kind of thing? How can people connect with you?
What does that look like? I guess I probably have a contact me on my lifecowellness.com webpage.
Okay.
I don't know if it's appropriate to give my phone number out on a podcast.
Probably not. You probably don't want to do that. You probably want to have them go through a form.
Okay, cool.
Okay, perfect.
What about email?
If you
just
want
stick with the website.
I mean, the form that you have on your website will be sent to your email anyway.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I like the layer. Cool. So let's do that. Then you guys can check out her amazing essential oils line. She's got skincare. I don't know if that's on your website since it's in like conjunction with
Taylor, it's Ray is Taylor's skincare. We did co-create it, and I just kind of manufacture it for her now. It's based on her skin witch skills and my witch plant medicine skills.
Yeah.
And there's a link for it on the website. Yes. And then there's also all my oils and then the contact form. Yeah.
Yeah. There's some coaching and how to present your new breaking all the rules dating vibes to your partner.
Yeah.
As always, thank you for joining us. It's always such a stimulating conversation.
Thank you for having me.
I feel like I grow every time too. I'm like, oh, I could say this in a much easier way.
And my heart grew 3 times that day.
I know. I'm like the Grinch. All right. Love you, girl. Thanks so much for being on. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.